listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Down a little bit. Keith Angle here for TGI Sports Talk. Are you serious? I'll be joined in a second by my co-host, MAD New Yorker, Carlos Chavez. We're going to talk everything, pretty much NFL today, I would think. With some odds and ends come up. We'll talk about the wild card results from last week. You could say there's some surprises. There were certainly some interesting games. We'll talk about certainly a certain quarterback's success in winning a playoff game ahead of many other NFL quarterbacks. And we'll get into this week's games. And we'll talk a little bit about the coaching carousel, too. There's a lot of coordinators moving around, man, besides head coaches. So we'll talk a little bit about all that if we have time. And your comments and any topics you want to jump into, again, assuming we have time. And I want to thank everybody who's watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter this morning. We're on Northeast Streaming Sports, simulcasting on Let's Talk Sports, certainly on the TGI Sports Talk pages as well. And then you can catch these shows later on as I replay them periodically throughout the weekend. So very, very dreary day up here in upstate New York. A little snow. It depends on the minute, not even the hour you look outside. It's snowing one minute, it's sleeting the next minute, it's raining the next minute, it's freezing rain the next minute. Been like that for 2 days, and we're going to get another day of that today. So anyway, there's your weather report, and we're going to jump right into it. Let me bring in my co-host, the MAD New Yorker, Carlos Chavez. How are you, Carlos?
Morning, Keith. Doing all right. Thank you for having me today. Happy Friday.
It's funny. I'm looking at my notes for Are You Serious? And my page is blank, but it should be pretty easy for us to kind of jump into today's topics because, NFL playoffs are here. And the craziness has already begun. Lots of interesting results last week. Before we kind of jump in, and we'll cover these games. We'll look into these games some more in depth than others, and we'll look at the coming week's games as well. And what's your overall take before we jump into the individual games? What's your overall take on just the first week of the playoffs?
I mean, it was good to see these teams were competitive. Good to see some points on the board for some of these games. But with that also, with the good you get the bad, right? So we could do it with a little bit of less calls on the field for some of these interactions that happen that change the course of the game. But I mean, other than that, it was pretty good. If you're
about like personal fouls and such.
Yeah, if you're a football fan, you got your team winning, then you feel good, and if your team lost, then it is what it is, right?
The one play, just to touch on that for a second, and we'll talk about this game more in depth. One call that really kind of irked me was the unsportsmanlike against Bosa in the Los Angeles Jacksonville game. Now, because that was a turning point, they would not have gone for two without getting that extra yard. It doesn't seem like a lot. But when you got a 6'6" quarterback, all he's got to do is lean over the end zone, the end line, makes a big difference. And he did drop the F-bomb and swear at the ref. I mean, at first I thought he just threw his helmet, which I thought was bogus to be able to call that. But let that go at the end of the game. The guy's emotional. They thought he got held. He did get held.
He got held. He did get held.
Regardless, I mean, that's stuff. They miss those calls because there's holding on every play in the NFL.
Yeah, there's a lot of holds going on and that are not called, and there's some that are called that are ridiculous. So it goes both ways. But that game, it affected the final score. But again, that fault, it goes to the Chargers. They didn't hold on to the lead. They went right away from their meat and potatoes, which is the dink and dunk and the runs to Eckler. So small little things, coaching decisions that are made by Staley that usually he has issues with anyways. And then what they did was they got rid of some of their staff as a scapegoat. So apparently they will not be the same team next year. So, and they shouldn't be. They should probably be better, and that's what we hope. But we'll see what will happen in San Diego. I mean,
I'm really shocked. I mean, this is a team that dominated the first half, and for them to lose this, I mean, these games get lost, but to lose it to a second-year quarterback who played great football in the second half, he really did. Mm-hmm. But San Diego played a little softer, obviously, so that helps. But for Staley, listen, if I'm owning San Diego, Staley's out of here because this isn't one instance. You go back to last year, they didn't make the playoffs because he didn't play for a tie. All he needed was a tie, and he didn't do it, and he doesn't make the playoffs. He makes questionable fourth down decisions all the time during the regular season, during the playoffs. I don't think this is the guy, especially when you got a guy like Sean Payton out there who would be perfect for this team. And
I mean, listen, another thing too, though, that people tend to forget is that the Chargers did a good job making sure that they didn't get ran all over. But that didn't stop them from getting, from the passes going through the secondary. Give credit where credit's due. They came back and they got the win, and they were more persistent and consistent. So Jacksonville deserves to win that game, right?
So I will have to point out again that the guy you say is not a tight end on the winning. Hold on, don't say anything yet. Mm-hmm. He had a great day receiving, and on the winning touchdown run,
he made a block.
Not the winning touchdown run. I'm sorry, the touchdown that got them to within 1 point after the extra point. The guy who shut down the corner so that guy could get to the corner and get to the end zone was one Evan Ingram, who you say doesn't play tight end, lined up at tight end, made the block to seal the end, or to seal the edge. Off he goes for a touchdown. The guy's playing great tight end this year.
Well, he has to play that position because that's what they're forcing him to play. But he's not really good at it. He did his job, and he did an okay job. And we'll see this. And we'll see this week what the results will be. Whether that team's gonna keep carrying forward with the way that he plays his position. This is gonna be a new defense that they're playing too. So. Or different defense.
I got to tell you, when I watched that play, the first thing I noticed was actually that block because I couldn't wait to have this conversation. This guy is a very good tight end. He blocks and he catches.
He's supposed to block, but the problem is he's not great.
He doesn't block though, but you told me he doesn't block.
I said, well, he's not good at it. I said he's not good. He's not a good blocker.
Pretty good at it right there in the game.
Because that's one of those, that's one of those bang bang plays that you got to do your job, and if you don't do your job, nothing happens. I'm glad for him. He did it. He did what he was supposed to do, but I wouldn't depend on him doing that every single time.
Well, he has this year because they've run the ball pretty well, and you don't run the ball well.
No, they did not run the ball that well at all this past game.
They ran for 117 yards. ETN had 109 yards on 20 carries. They didn't run the ball well.
He ran the ball well. He ran it okay in the second half.
Who else is going to run it? He's your lead half.
In the second half.
First of all, they're not going to run the ball a lot when you're down 20 points, 25 points, whatever it was.
Because they tried and it wasn't happening because the Chargers did a pretty decent job in the first half. But
again, this is a case of you judging him by his past and not his present. He's gotten better. You cannot deny that. He's not the last guy we'll have this conversation about.
You're talking about Ingram?
I'm talking. Yeah, Ingram. Yes,
he's okay. I mean, I was happy for him. Okay, so here's a background story on Ingram. Okay,
what's the background matter? I'm talking about today, though.
No, but I'm going to tell you something that you need to hear. Okay, this kid that did a good job. He went out. He did different camps for kids, and my son was able to meet him and go to a camp and they did whatever they're supposed to do. And I was always for him as far as when the Giants picked him, and I was like, okay, this guy, because he was good in college and he had a couple okay seasons, but then the last two seasons was like, he wasn't doing well, and I'm just like, this guy, he reminds me of Graham, right?
I will disagree. He played badly. You're right.
Yeah, and so I was like, and I'm like, you know what, the Giants can't re-sign him, and he hasn't played to his potential to even bowl one more contract, right? So that's why I was like, the way I seen him play in the last 3 seasons before he went to Jacksonville was that he wasn't blocking well, he wasn't catching well, right? He had a lot of drops. So, but his focus was trying to get his technique better blocking. I think that was what hurt him trying to be a better catcher or trying to do his job as catching the ball. Plus I still don't think Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. But anyways,
we'll get into that as well. By the
way, when he left, I was like, okay, well, good thing that Jacksonville got him, but that gives Jacksonville a little bit more depth because he's actually a better catcher than he is an actual blocking tight end. Now, I'm glad that I'm glad he set up, did his job because that's what he's supposed to do, but he's not good. He's not the best blocking tight end, and he's not that good at it. And that's that's my argument.
He's the fourth best tight end in the league.
I'm sorry?
He's the fourth best tight end in the league.
You think he's a top 10 tight end?
Top 4, yes.
Really?
Based on this year, not his career, based on this year.
No, I'm
Who's better? Kelsey? Yes. Who else?
There's not that many. There's not that many. This year has been you saw that there was a lack of depth in the tight end pool, anyways. So he might be in the top. He's in the top 10, but I wouldn't put him in the top 5.
I would. I mean, who are you going to rank ahead of him?
I mean, Dallas got a good tight end.
He's good. He's not as. I don't think he played better than Ingram this year.
Well, I mean, who knows?
And don't throw out the gratuitous Cowboys just because Alan's here. Good morning, Alan, by the way. Alan, CA, good morning to you guys.
Good morning, guys.
I'm kidding you, Alan. We'll get to your game in a little bit. Anyway, I don't want to belabor that point too long, but he played a great game. And
he did play well. He did play well. All of the Jaguars, like I did, they deserved to win because they played better in the second half. They were more, they were more persistent, more combative, and they were able to come back and that kid led the way, right? The quarterback led the way. So
you know what, their defense played pretty well too because they only San Diego. Oh, Jesus, San Diego. I'll just say the Chargers. The Chargers only ran for 67 yards, I think, in this game.
Yeah.
And, it was the Jacksonville offense that gave San Diego the chances to score. But you got the ball in great scoring position. You had pick sixes. You had everything else. And that's what really beat them. And then the second half, that Jacksonville defense, just because San Diego kind of took the foot off the gas a little bit, that doesn't take away from the fact that Jacksonville defense was tremendous in that second half. And I think they're going to have some trouble in Kansas City this week, but we'll talk about that.
They had an exciting game, but that was their Super Bowl, and I don't expect them to pass Kansas City either. So.
It might be very hard to get back up for that. You're
play that level
20 now. I get it, but
to play at a high level. And the thing is, well, here's the only thing about Kansas City, and I'm not saying that they give up a lot of points, but they do allow teams to stay in the game, and sometimes that's a hindrance to them. So.
Thank you very much. Kittle's the other name I was trying to come up with. So maybe he's third. He's not even counting his own tight end. You gave him credit. He didn't.
I think Gesicki. I think there's a lot of tight ends that this year who are decent or good. Like Hawkinson. Hawkinson is way better than Ingram.
Yeah, Hawkinson's a really good tight end. He didn't play that well once he got traded. He's playing pretty good right now. He played good last week in the loss.
So I think there's a lot of talented and good tight ends like Bray. Like, there's a lot of good tight ends that this particular season, we haven't seen them play up to their potential.
Yeah.
It's just been a lot of terrible football, man. So.
Well, we know that already, but again, we saw some really good football in playoffs. Let's jump to your game. We'll get to Allen's game since he's here. We'll go there third. I want to get to the Giants. Upsetting the Vikings. I bet the Giants last week. I liked the Giants a lot in this game. Sometimes at some points it looked like they'd pull away. Kirk Cousins would bring them back. He didn't play badly, Kirk Cousins. I can't blame this game on Kirk Cousins. One of the reasons I bet the Giants was because of the Kirk Cousins factor. He didn't play badly. The defense was atrocious. I mean, Daniel Jones, it seemed like every time I looked up, he was running down the sideline for big chunks of yardage. He played well again.
Well. Mm-hmm.
And again, I saw a bunch of people say, slow down, Daniel Jones plays one great game and all of a sudden he's Joe Montana. I'm not saying that, but this isn't one great game. He played a lot of really good games this year, and this team won games and won this playoff game. Again, I'd put Daniel Jones in the top 10 quarterbacks in the league right now.
Well, he ranks in the top 10 quarterback this year in the way he's played, and we have to give him credit for that. I do not give him credit for that, and I'm grateful that he's actually playing better and up to some of the potential that they claim he has room to go up on, that his ceiling's that high. And the Vikings, I don't know. I don't know what they could do to make themselves better besides not just revamping that defense, but even on the offense, like they don't give their defense a chance sometimes. And look, the credit goes to Wink and to the Giants.
The defense played well, yes,
because this is that was the first game that the whole defense played together this season because of injuries, and you could see that the potential there that defense has to be a potent defense and a top 5 defense if healthy and if everybody plays. So yeah, but I think that was a Super Bowl, and I don't think they get past the Eagles this week. But we'll see. And you can't just crown a kid king because he's played 5 good games, 7 good games. That's one season don't make you a great quarterback. If that's
nobody
true,
says he's a great quarterback, but I'll tell you right now, he will not be leaving New York. He will not leave New York.
And we've had this discussion back and forth, and you have one perception, I have another perception, but I think the reality is that we have to look at the numbers, the mathematics, the finances doesn't add up. I say that the Giants have to be like these kid movies Frozen and just let both of these guys go, Saquon and Daniel Jones.
And what then? You're a guy who wants to win now. You tell me all the time, I pay good money, I want to win now, and you want to trade your best 2 players.
You're right, and I said, but again, the Giants are in a chaotic and dismal financial situation, and here's the thing: you can't sign these 2 guys in hope that you're going to keep the 2 coaches that are going on interviews left and right. You got Kafka getting interviewed left and right, and you got Wink getting interviewed left and right, and these are the 2 stalwarts that you need to have for the next 3 to 5 seasons if you're Daboll, because these are the 2 guys that have got your offense kind of revved up, and you got Wink that's got your defense and playing hard. So you can't get so excited, Giant fans, and be like, keep these guys, and then you don't have the same coaching staff that got you to where you were able to go above 7, playing above 7, winning more than 7 games and playing above 500. Like, you can't, it's not balanced and it won't work. That Daniel Jones had issues because of coordinators coming in and out, because his comfort level. Daboll gave him a clean high school type of offense to run, that he can't make mistakes. They took the ball out of his hands, making sure that he only made certain throws. So you're gonna now give this guy a contract, hoping that he plays better than or plays just as good as this year, and another new coordinator. That don't make no dang sense. Come on, man.
So you want to if the coordinators walk, you get rid of your players? Nobody does.
No. Okay, so but in this case, and also in the case
of 2 games next year.
In this case, and also in the case of the Jets, it's a great situation for the general manager to make a better decision on getting a coordinator, making sure that the coordinator signs a 5-year deal, which means that he'll probably stay for 3 years, right? And then also that you keep your defensive coordinator, who made you one of the best defenses in your division. So, like, if the Giants if they're going to sign anybody, they should sign Wink, the defensive coordinator, and the offensive coordinator, and they can let Daniel Jones and Saquon go for 2 reasons, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, Daniel Jones is going to cost is looking for a contract. His representative team
goes up with every playoff win he gets. By the way,
yeah, I know. His representatives are going to be looking for $24 million plus, right?
Could have wrapped this guy up a lot cheaper before the season.
Yeah, they could have, but they gave themselves an opportunity.
No, they had to find out if he was a guy. I get that. That's fine.
Now, if I'm repping Daniel Jones, I'm okay with that. I gotta see what the other teams are willing to give me. Now, other teams will probably give him 20, anywhere between 15 to 20. So he would have a better opportunity to get kind of what he's looking for, not being in New York, to be honest with you. Because New York, the Giants cannot financially commit more than 15 to 20 million to him. They can't do it. His value isn't there. Whereas another
team, get more.
What?
He's probably going to get more. They're not paying anybody else. They should get rid of guys like and take the cap hit on the guys like who's the stiff wide receiver that never, he got one target last week that I saw.
Oh, Galladay, yeah.
Galladay.
So, no, but here's another thing. So this is just Daniel Jones. Now, on the flip side, the reps for Saquon Barkley already told the Giants that they're looking at a deal closer to what McCaffrey got from the Panthers. So and it's not that Saquon did not have a great year, and he's in the top 4 running back in the NFL right now in rush yards. And he could have got like maybe 5 more touchdowns this year, but being that his man and
he's also very good in a pass game, just like McCaffrey. They're very close to being the same player.
That's another thing, right? Are you willing as the Giants to pay him? What is it? I was looking at the numbers here. He's looking at 35 to 40 million. That's and he's looking at the over the $12 million rank, over $15 million of cash for 1 to 3 years. Come on, man, for the first 3 years. Those are numbers that the Giants, unfortunately, they won't be able to handle both.
Let me throw a couple of things out here. I'll let you go for a little while here. And Alan's point is perfect. First of all, the coordinators, I don't think either one of those guys is going anywhere. Wink Martindale's not getting a head coaching job. It's not happening. Kafka, maybe, but I don't think it's going to be this year. So coordinators are coming back, and even if they left, Brian Daboll's the guy who makes a difference. I
disagree. Totally.
Brian Daboll's the guy who came in here and changed the culture of this team. Come on, the head coach sets the tone, not the coordinators. We know this. This is not rocket science.
It is. It's not rocket scientist, but the reality is, when you're a new head coach, you have to surround yourself with guys who have been in the league and who have.
And there's other guys out there too. Yeah. If these guys were to leave, there's other guys they can bring in here. I'm not taking anything away from these guys' success, but Daniel Jones' success is as much tied to Brian Daboll as is Kafka. Kafka's done very good with him. Don't get me wrong. If he walked away tomorrow, the Giants would be okay because they have Daboll, and he's still the guy.
No, I disagree with you. There's another guy who got fired because he didn't surround himself quick enough and fast enough, which was Hackett in Denver. Now Hackett had an even better opportunity because he had a better quarterback. So it
turned out he didn't. By the way,
and at the end of the day, we don't know what it is because the Giants were able to be successful in this year of what I call crap football.
Because they had a better coach. It's pretty simple.
He's not that. They
had a better coach. They had a better quarterback.
This is his first year, first of all, and I'm glad, and I'm
comparing him to Hackett. You just made a comparison to Hackett.
Because I'm comparing him to Hackett. I'm sorry?
I'm comparing him to Hackett. You just made the comparison to Hackett.
Yeah, and so their defense played better than the Broncos defense at the end of the game, and they were able to produce points, but not enough points right now to stay in the game. So
Alan, you're absolutely right. This is why New York fans can never be. I'm a New York fan at everything but football, and I can tell you, I have to always qualify this. I stick up for Daniel Jones, and I hate the Giants. I hate the Giants as much as anybody. I hate the Giants as much as Eagle fans and Cowboy fans. I do because of 2 Sundays. And this guy is a guy who showed you he can take you to playoffs and win games.
No, he's showing us one time. He said, look, I'm gonna give you a great comparison.
You haven't even had a real coaching staff until this year. You can't get this guy.
Okay, but you were just saying that the coaching staff doesn't matter.
It does matter. I didn't say that. I said the coordinators don't matter. In this case, the head coach sets the tone.
But
I didn't say they don't matter. They can be replaced.
If they can't at least match the intensity, match the motivation of what the head coach is putting out there, then at the end of the day, you just got a team that's that are the Cleveland Browns. I mean, come on, man.
Good morning to Northeast Streaming Sports, whoever posting. Probably Linda. If you listen for a minute, you'll find out Carlos apparently isn't happy with the Giants because we're never going to be happy.
No, I'm not. And listen, even if they win the Super Bowl, I'm not going to be happy because then we got to turn over for the offseason and make changes. And the changes are coming.
Yeah, the changes are coming, and more money for Daniel Jones. Saquon's going nowhere. You're not busting this team up. You're just not. It's not that.
The only thing good about this team right now is the defense. It's like that's the only thing right now that's actually like got them in the game. The same thing as when they had Eli, but Eli was actually played better in the tougher games. So
Here's Dan Harris. Good morning, Dan. Good to have you with us this morning. What's Dan got to say? Great show. Always question for Carlos. If it's not Daniel Jones, who would you have as your quarterback?
Okay, so so you're looking at
now they got to be available. Let's remember.
Yeah, so look, you have to look at it this way, right? If the fans were going to do this deal, it'd be 60-40. 60% of the fans want Daniel Jones, 40% don't. If you're looking at like in the manager position of the Giants, who have the upper hand, they're looking at it 60-40, where they don't want to sign him for more than $20 million, right? And they're okay with letting him go.
Forget about Daniel. Who we talk about? I'm sorry, Daniel Jones still.
Daniel Jones, yeah.
Okay, so forget about Daniel Jones.
Upper managers wanting and willing to pay for him for more than 25.
Just so we don't go too much further with this. Forget about Daniel Jones is gone based on the question Dan asked. Who are you going to replace him with?
I mean, you got opportunity picking up players like who are a little bit better, but this is
a little bit better. I want some names.
I'm not sure what the Giants' threshold is on who they're going to pay.
There's not a guy available better than Daniel Jones. Not one guy available that's better than Daniel Jones.
Tyler Heineke's better than him, and he's available. Oh, Tyler Heineke?
Heinicke is not better than Daniel Jones.
Oh, you're
I've been a big supporter of Heinicke. He's not better than Daniel Jones.
He's better than Daniel
Derek
Jones.
Carr's not better than Daniel Jones.
The opportunity there in Washington was he didn't have the opportunity that he should have got was playing from the beginning of the season and the whole season through. So,
good morning, Bob. You got here just in time for my head to explode. Thanks for coming in this morning. Again, there's not a quarterback. Ryan Tannehill? Nope.
All these quarterbacks.
Nope.
The problem with the availability of quarterbacks is that on the top end of your quarterback, there aren't that many free agents, right? That the Giants might be willing to go and splash on. They're not going to splash on Lamar Jackson because I can tell that their leadership doesn't bode that well, and so they're not going to go that high. And then it looks like maybe Baltimore might actually be signing him now that they got rid of that coordinator. So, and they're not going to go for Aaron. They're not going to go for Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is on the. He's already peaked.
We'll talk about this, but just to Alan's point here, I think Daniel Jones has got a better chance of getting to that game than Dak Prescott. And I'm going to tell you what: if Dak Prescott were available, he's not better than Daniel Jones. He's just
no. He's on him and they're on the median of the QB. There's a lot of.
They're in the same tier. They're in the same tier of quarterbacks, right? I mean, you got to go with tiers almost.
Top tier is there's very little space.
Well,
and there are not many free agents available there. And then
the three guys to me at the top, and Allen, Mahomes, and Burrow.
Yeah, but they're not available. They're not free agents, man.
No, I know that. I'm just talking about. I'm just talking about the best quarterbacks. You don't have
free agents. So
I just told you, you don't have a better quarterback available anywhere by trade or by free agency that's better than Daniel Jones.
So in the middle tier, there's a lot of guys that have more experience than him and have been in the playoffs, but they're not winning quarterbacks, and they're stuck in that middle tier.
Well, I'm not sure Alan's comment about who's better here. There isn't one person better. He wouldn't take Brady, or I wouldn't take Brady or Rodgers over.
No, I wouldn't take either of those guys. Then you got to pay them more than $30 million. Come on, man.
I'm not sure who because he's obviously, and it's not Alan. You got to look at the talent surrounding Dak Jones is so much better than the talent surrounding Daniel Jones. Dak Prescott, based on performance, is not better than Daniel Jones. He's just not.
Well, so if you take down his performance for the amount of games that he's played, Dak Prescott is better than Daniel Jones. If you compare them by the amount of games they played, Dak Prescott is better than Daniel Jones.
Time out. I'm talking about at this point in time. I don't care about the last 4 years.
When you sign a player in the NFL, you pay him for the past performances. You don't pay him for future performance.
Well, that's partly true, but you pay a guy to come in and win games, not just for that's for what
Daniel Jones. This is the first season Daniel Jones is actually winning games for you. That's one of the biggest issues, and that's one of the biggest problems on why he's in the bottom of the middle tier quarterbacks.
This is all going to be conjecture, but I'll tell you right now, and we're going to move on after this, but I will tell you right now that if all things were equal and Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones were both free agents this year, Daniel Jones would come out with a bigger contract easily. Based on where they are today and what they can expect here going forward.
Right now, Dak has that huge contract, so he's in the top of the middle tier, and he's not. And Daniel Jones ain't going to reach what that prospect can pay at all.
By the way,
So
I will admit when I'm wrong, by
that.
the way.
You can think that, and you might have that opinion, but that's not going to happen. In fact,
unlike some other people in this studio right now, that when I'm wrong, I'm freely admit it. Like I was wrong on your boy Zach Wilson. I was wrong. I was wrong.
No, and I told you he was a project, and I sat here and I was like, he went to BYU. He barely played he barely played any big games at BYU. Like they were comparing him. His comparables was to.
We got time.
Garcia, maybe
we got time in the offseason to talk about him. I was high on him. He's not going to make it in New York, and that's the end of the story. So let's move on. I want to get to Allen's game. We'll go to and we'll cover some of these. We'll at least talk quickly about some other games, obviously. But I want to get to this week's games too. Cowboys and Buccaneers. I'm a little shocked. I thought the Buccaneers would give them a game. Their game plan was awful. Awful. They gave up on a run way too soon. They didn't protect Brady, and Brady had happy feet. And we all know you rush Brady up the middle, you hit him a few times early, he's going to get happy feet, and he had him. And he looked 45 years old in this game.
Yeah, it looked like Father Time's catching up with him. But again, they had a couple plays here and there, and they just couldn't get in the rhythm. And the biggest issue that they've had all season was the fact that they didn't go out and supplement the running game, because Fournette is not. You could tell that Father Time has caught up with him, that he's not the and that O-line didn't help them in the beginning of the season. And now that it came back, it wasn't there for them, and they weren't in sync to create what they needed to for Fournette, even if he did have that extra boost. So they gave Fournette an extra weeks of rest, and it didn't look like he was rested at all.
Oh, he was terrible. He averaged about 2 yards a carry.
Yeah, it didn't even look like he was a backup running back. It looked like he was a third string running back going out there and taking reps.
And in fairness to Dak Prescott, he played pretty well again.
Yeah, no turnover. No turnover.
Yeah, you can't play much better than he played. His passing rating was 143 or 145, something like that. He was almost perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this isn't a good Tampa Bay team, so I'm not excited about Dallas's chances about going out in San Francisco to play, and we'll talk about that in a second. And I know Alan's going to have some comments on this game, so we'll get to him. The running game was good. He did say Pollard would have a big game for Alan's credit. He did make that comment on one of my shows, and Pollard played very well. He was the better running back in this game, and I think he's the better running back at this point anyway.
He's the younger, the quicker, and the faster running back, and that's the biggest problem they have. They can't.
I believe they got to make a decision on him. Yeah. I think they may lose.
I've been saying that for the last 2 seasons. They just need to give pay. And another thing is that the younger guy is looking at the older guy. He's doing more work, and he's going to want to get paid, man.
And the tight end you brought up played very well in this game for them too. Schultz had 95-ish yards receiving, a couple touchdowns. So great job by him. Dallas looked good. Going to play San Francisco is going to be a little bit different. Let me ask this before we get away from this game. We'll talk about Tom Brady for a second. He looks old. He needs to retire. He's been distracted. I said he was going to be a distraction before his divorce and the separation and then divorce even came up. And it proved to me to be true. He was a distraction for this team the whole year. It's not as good a team anyway. They're not as well coached. Todd Bowles is a great defensive coordinator. He's not a great head coach. Mm-hmm. I don't think Tom Brady comes back to this team or any team next year. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I don't think he comes back to Tampa Bay, and any other team that wants him, even just for a jersey sale, better have a great O-line, right? And give him an opportunity to at least be half of the quarterback he was this year. You could tell that the fact that they didn't have a running game and they didn't have an O-line that was consistently together the whole season, it made a huge difference. And it's up to Brady too. If he puts himself out there and there's a taker that's willing to pay him, then that's not on him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a problem. I think that's one of the biggest problems in the NFL is that some players are like, and their representation are like, yeah, let's do this. Let's get a 5-year deal instead of a 2-year deal, and then just drag things out. And sometimes it's not good for the player. So. Tom
Brady's problem is that Tom Brady believes this is all he is. He's a football player. He doesn't know anything else. That's his problem. Let's get to some comments from the game. Alan, I did not ignore the performance by Dak Prescott. He had a very good performance this weekend. I just said that, but I can't ignore the fact that he's liable to come up with the same game he played against the team formerly known as the Redskins, this week against the 49ers.
Yeah.
He's not as good as the top quarterbacks. He's just not. And by the way, to your next comment, I'm pretty sure when Cooper Rush was playing, I never said Cooper Rush was better than Dak Prescott, but I do believe some Cowboy fans, including yourself, said Cooper Rush you might have a quarterback controversy when Cooper Rush was playing earlier in the year. I'm pretty sure, Alan. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure you said he should keep playing.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. You're definitely a Mets fan, apparently.
Here's the thing about that. The Cowboys have that problem where they have the younger player on both positions that could be better than the guy who's starting, and eventually that's what causes that chaos over there. And if they can't get rid of that, or they can't find a way to mellow those feelings out, then they're not going to be successful. And they'll play games here and there because of their talent and because they have potential, but they're not gonna go far. And I kept saying that the Dallas Cowboys need to go ahead and buck up, pay Pollard and get rid of the other running back, and they keep Dak, and that's your quarterback. Don't even mention Cooper.
No, Cooper can't be. And listen, Dak. I have my problems with Dak Prescott, but Cooper Rush is not better than him. I mean, they've got too much talent to be as up and down as they are. That's my problem with Dak Prescott. It's not his talent level; it's his game management skills and the fact that he has these peaks and valleys. And part of that's coaching. He's not had great coaching. And this team better win this weekend, or they'll be having a new head coach. And I don't know if Dallas fans would disagree with the fact if you had a choice between Pollard and Zeke, you'd keep Pollard, I think. What else has Alan got here? Fournette didn't play that much, you're right. But again, Tampa Bay not even trying to run the football really is part of what killed them. If you just let Brady, a 45-year quarterback who's not mobile to begin with, and you just let a good defense tee off on him. And I never saw. He's talking about a minute ago. He talked about a bad interception in the end zone. I have never seen Brady throw into coverage where there's 3 and 4 guys around the guy that he's throwing to so often as he did Monday night. It just was a bad look.
I think that first interception set the tone for the defense, where they were it gave them it gave them some motivation because they got a pick off of him, and it looked like a terrible throw to begin with. But I don't think he was expecting that ball to stay in as much as it did, and was it's him getting older and not realizing that it's not going to go where he wants it to go, right?
Yeah. And Alan, you're right. San Francisco has not played teams, but again, right now I don't care. Records don't matter anymore. They just don't matter. They don't matter. Here's what this game comes down to: San Francisco is probably, if the quarterback doesn't lose the game for him, the best team left in the playoffs in the NFC anyway.
I'm sitting here wondering whether Dallas has enough gas in the tank on their defense to make Purdy even think twice about staying in the pocket.
They've got to force him into mistakes.
Yeah, because it looked like this game against Tampa Bay, they went all out even when they were winning. And Michael Parsons looked like he came up with a little limp. And I'm sure it's probably something small, but now you're going to play a better offense. You're going to play a better defense, and are you going to have the stamina, and are you going to have the conditioning to go out there and get past the best football team right now in the NFL as far as offense and defense is concerned? Best because they're well balanced.
I know you don't love Shanahan, but this coaching staff does a good job of putting Purdy in a position to succeed. They don't ask him to do a lot of things that he's not going to be able to do, and that's very smart with a quarterback in his situation.
It's the Shanahan system. You don't have to do much. You just have to get rid of the ball and give it to the right person at the right time. He's
played better than the guy who preceded him. He's played much better, and they let him throw the ball more than they let Garoppolo throw the ball too.
Yeah, and I think that kid has a great confidence. He's got a good head on his shoulder.
I love the kid. I think he's done a great job.
But you could tell some of those plays where he's looking around and he's like, these guys better be in the right place.
Listen, he's a rookie quarterback, and he was picked last in the draft for a reason. Not everybody's not stupid, right? I mean, yes, Tom Brady got picked in the 6th round, but the people aren't stupid. You're going to get these aberrations, and the league could catch up with Purdy at some point. he's got it good because he hasn't had to play anybody twice. I think maybe he played Seattle twice. I'm not sure. But that's a good advantage for him because they haven't been able to, to figure him out, and they will potentially eventually. But he's played well, and as long as he plays well, that's good for.
Yeah, and this would be game 7 that he's playing because he's won all 6 games he's played.
Well, if I'm wrong, I apologize. I know I had some conversations with Cowboy fans who fell in love with Cooper Rush, which fans always do. They fell in love with Bailey Zappi this year too for playing a game and a half that was really good.
Yeah.
Not Peters. I'm not sure what that is for. What the hell is he talking about? Not sure what you got there, CA. You can. I might have maybe Carlos said something I didn't catch about Peters. They're motivated mainly from their loss last year. They'll be fine. Well, you should root for your team. By the way, Alan, Sunday you picked against your team until I talked to you into picking the Cowboys. Let's not forget that either.
Yeah, I'm not.
I said I was very disappointed in Alan, and he came around and picked the Cowboys by the end of my Sunday show. I think it was Sunday show we did this. Maybe it was. I can't remember.
I don't feel like a great
game. I agree. Listen, I don't think San Francisco's blowing Dallas out of this game. I agree with them there.
No, there's no blowout, but there is a level that Dallas hasn't been able to get to, and which is playing a cleaner game, right? They haven't been consistent. So until they can prove that, they're still going to be the underdog, right?
Yeah, so let's go through the rest of these games quickly so we can get into this week's games. 49ers, Seahawks, we've kind of talked about it a little bit already. Seahawks played a really good first half, and I think they made the 49ers sweat. A very silly call by Shanahan at the end of the half. I hate those squib kicks where there's still time on the clock. These guys can kick the ball a mile today. You can't just put them in a position where with 2 throws they can kick a field goal. I was afraid that might hurt him at the end. It didn't because they really dominated the second half. But
yeah, I feel bad for Geno Smith because he had one of the best first halves.
He played well. Geno Smith's going to cash in somewhere, whether it's Seattle signing him long term or franchising him. I think he's going to probably cash in pretty good here. Now,
is he better? Is he better than Daniel Jones?
No. Nope. I would not rate Geno Smith better than Daniel Jones.
Really?
No, not right now. Not right now today. No. And again, one of the big deciding factors is Geno didn't find a way to win a playoff game. Daniel Jones did.
Yeah, but they played 2 different teams. They played
I understand that, but Daniel Jones didn't play a Little Sisters of the Poor this week. So the Vikings are better than the Seahawks in my mind. So yeah, but what else we got here? Bills and Dolphins. This game was much closer than it needed to be.
I was rooting for those Dolphins to come through, and
I know you were.
And I told people that you can't trust the Bills, man. They do not have a running game, and that is going to be their that's going to be the sword that they lie on. And
I think they run the ball better than you think they do, but they don't commit to the run because that's not their offense. Their offense is to go through the quarterback, and he runs the ball, and he'll get hurt eventually. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you listen.
Singletary ran for 800 yards this year. It's not like he can't run the ball at all.
If you, it's like in basketball terminology. If you live by the 3, you die by the 3. If you're gonna live by what Allen does, and you're gonna die by what Allen does, and he almost killed you.
He will have some bad games here.
Galore. He's throwing balls all over the place. Was not consistent. I don't understand what they had the advantage in this game, and they didn't take advantage. They didn't do anything until the second half. So we'll see.
Peters isn't playing for Dallas. I get it. Okay. Sorry about that. I wanted to go back to that. Anyway, you're not wrong here. They were in control of this game 17-0 early, and there's zero reason they should have let Skylar Thompson and this Miami offense back in this game. I'm sorry. I mean, he had some athletes to throw the ball to, but it's Skylar Thompson.
And on top of that, the Dolphins, what did they doing that they made the same mistakes that the Chargers made. They were in the lead. They had the opportunity to, step on the neck, and what they do, turn around and go away from what their bread and butter was.
Agreed. The other game, the last game we didn't chat about, the Bengals and the Ravens. This was probably the dullest game of the except for the 100-yard return on the fumble.
Close to call though, right?
99-yard. I guess it can't be 100. It was a close call, but I think it was the right call. That was a big play. The Bengals kept the Ravens around. Mm-hmm. Huntley played, a decent football game. The Ravens defense was better than I thought they would be. I still like the Bengals to beat the Bills this weekend myself. I think they'll get it together a little bit. They really shut the Bengals running game down entirely. They pressured Burrow pretty well, but the Bengals find a way to win these games, and that's what you got to do at this point. All that matters right now is wins. That's all.
The Ravens let go of Roman for a reason, and people might say he did what he could with what he had, but I don't think he did enough with what he had, and it showed the last 2 seasons. I called for him and his high school, college type style playbook to be gone last season, and they kept him an extra season. I have no idea why, but
careful, he might end up with the Jets. You never know.
Oh Lord Jesus,
watch out!
If Roman has any sense, he'd go to college football and cash out.
We're back to the Cowboys for a second. Jason Peters is out, but I think they'll be fine. Jason Peters is like as old as me, so I don't think. I mean, you ought to be able to replace him at least sufficiently. Let's look at this week's games because we're starting to get tight on time here. So let's talk about this week's games because now we're into another fun weekend. The games are 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. I really wish they'd play this game Sunday at 1:00, but that's just me.
I got plans.
I want to get out, to watch the game, and I really don't want to go out at 3:00. So I probably won't.
That's tough.
Chiefs and Jaguars is the first game, 4:30 Saturday.
Yeah.
This is a tough matchup for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I mean, Lawrence has played – this team, I think, will go as far as Lawrence takes him. If he throws 4 interceptions in this game, he's probably going to get blown out of the game.
Well, the thing is, he didn't throw too many interceptions last game. Listen, here's
4
interceptions
last game.
Yeah, but he didn't throw 5.
You're right. He didn't throw 5. I can't argue that point.
Here's the thing. Will this be the first time Lawrence loses on a Saturday since Pee Wee football? I believe this will be the day.
That's a great point. So it's a remarkable stat, right? He's undefeated on Saturdays in his entire football career.
Right.
It's awesome. Well, I guess that's their best selling point. The Chiefs just have too much. As well as the Jaguars have played, they hired the right coach. Doug Peterson's a really good coach. He's a really good coach. He's got a Super Bowl win over, again, a team that was in the middle of a 20-year dynasty, and he outcoached the greatest coach in the history of the game that day.
He got lucky.
Okay. He didn't get lucky. He outcoached the GOAT, Bill Belichick. So listen, and by the way, imagine this team had actually hired
for last year, right?
If they had hired Byron Leftwich, like they planned to, Leftwich overplayed his hand. This team probably wouldn't be where they are. I don't think. I think Doug Peterson is a great quarterback coach, and I think he's the best thing to happen to Trevor Lawrence. But in this game, there are just too many weapons on the other side of the football. Their defense is a bit better in Kansas City. That home field advantage is as good as any in football.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think there's going to be too much for the Jaguars. And as you said, that second half, it's going to be hard to get yourself back up after that comeback.
If they're young and they're fast, but if they can keep that energy and play the chart and then play the Chiefs, it's going to be a good game. But I just don't see it for them. And I like the Jags that they've improved. They were a black horse, and I always take people to watch out for the Jags and then Atlanta Falcons because they'll be the reason why you're in the playoffs or the reason you're not.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and they ended up sneaking in, and but that's as good as they did was sneak in because they don't have enough depth, man. That's the problem.
I'm not sure Lawrence will actually do as well as Allen thinks he will against this defense. It's a little bit better than it's been in the past, and it's good enough to win 14 games this year. So it may be a high-scoring game, but I think the Chiefs will win fairly.
Yeah, and if they don't use Kirk like they last game, Kirk had a few catches. He had big catches, but Kirk needs to be used a little bit more. Ingram needs the ball a little bit more. They need to throw the ball a little bit with more consistency, and I think that's why he ended up getting those 4 picks because they were trying to do that because they went away from running the ball anyways. So
right, that night, be a lot of eyeballs on this game. Giants at the Eagles. Giants have had their problems in Philadelphia recently. We know that Daniel Jones has played probably his worst games of the year this year against the Eagles.
Is he going to trip on the carpet again?
What's that?
Is he going to trip on the carpet again?
Let's hope that doesn't happen for his sake. I mean, I like the Giants keep this close. I'll probably bet the Giants. I don't know that they'll win the game, but I think they will keep it within a reasonable score. And I think in the fourth quarter they'll have a chance to win this game if Daniel Jones plays like he's played against everybody else but the Eagles this year.
Yeah, Saquon needs to run the ball more than 100 yards in this game. They need the Eagles.
Well, he only ran the ball 9 times last week. Yeah. I was shocked.
The Eagles are going to give them the running game and they'll stop Daniel Jones from making all those great throws that he makes. And this is a game for Hurts and Sirianni to prove to everybody that he's a real deal, that he belongs to be a starter, and they got their offense is one of the most highest scoring offenses in the NFL. So when Hurts is playing, and so they better prove that. If they don't, that Giants defense, again, that's the first time they played together. This is going to be the second time playing together. I hope they have enough energy. Hopefully they can stay, together, but I don't think they will.
I'm interested in myself. What I'm really interested in is to see how Jones and Isaiah Hodgkins do this week. Maybe he's found his target that we've said all along. He just doesn't have that weapon. He had a great game last week. Is that a one-game aberration against a weak secondary, or can he carry that over? And if he can be that type of weapon that he was last week for Jones, I'm going to give them a chance to beat the Eagles in this game. If he's down, then no.
Yeah, I mean, I just see the Eagles can control this game, but I don't know if they're going to, because Sirianni sometimes makes some crazy calls too. So
Alan's right. It is hard to beat a team 3 times. I know he's going to correct this afterwards with 3, but it is hard to beat a team 3 times. I can't count the second win though, because the Giants didn't play anybody either. So
yeah, and here's the thing, and the Giants are here because they've been able to come back from.
Alan always is reading my mind here with every time I talk about something, he's already got a comment in there.
This is a game where the Giants need to play, get ahead, and stay ahead, and because they won't be able to fall behind and catch up.
No, I do not. I think the Giants are the type of team that, again, he's had a couple of fourth quarter comebacks this year, but I think they're much more likely to win any game from in front than from behind for sure.
That should be their game plan. You should see the Giants try to outscore the Eagles, and I just don't think they have enough to do it, but we'll see.
Yeah. Bengals, 3:00 Sunday, Bengals at the Bills. I think the Bengals are still angry about the whole, again, they did the right thing in that Hamlin game where it was end up being no contest. They lose home field advantage, quite possibly because of it. We don't know if they would have won that game, but if they had, they would have ended up with home field advantage. I think they're angry. And I think that will carry over into this game. And I think they're right now, to your point, I think they might be a more complete team because they'll be able to run the ball better, I think, than maybe the Bills will. Joe Burrow, I think, is probably on par with Josh Allen as far as, ranking the quarterbacks. And I just think the Bengals are better overall. Their offensive line's got to play a little bit better. They have played better recently last week, not so great, but I just think the Bengals will find a way to win this game on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking the Bengals over the Bills. I don't trust the Bills, and I won't ever trust the Bills. Maybe until they get a new coach, who knows? But the Bengals, and they should be angry that they let the Ravens stick around. So
no, I don't disagree. Again, I thought they would win that game more handily because again they were angry. I still think they're angry. Zach Taylor is not happy. Again, we talked about this before. No good deed goes unpunished, and the Bengals got punished badly.
And I'm not going to say that the Bills aren't that good offensively, but the talent level for the wide receivers against the Bills wide receivers is way above and beyond what Allen has, and they execute better, and they allow the running game to balance that. So
I think Diggs and Chase is kind of a wash to me, and I think the Bills are deeper than the Bengals. I think the first 2 guys you put the 2 guys together for both teams, Higgins and Chase. I think they're better than the Bills' top 2, Diggs and whoever you want to name as number 2 for the Bills. But I think the Bills go deeper. He's got more targets, I think, than Burrow.
If he did, he wouldn't run the ball like he does. Bro.
That's his game, man. He's going to take off. He sees a chance.
You know what he reminds me? Again, I told you this. He reminds me of Randall Cunningham. Like, ooh, that's what he does. Everybody keeps saying that's what he does, but then you get hit a couple times, you get that hip flexor, and then that's it. You can't do it anymore. Like,
I want to say quickly, not to interrupt you, but I want to say good morning, Robert from Sportscopes, joining us this morning. Good morning, Robert. Check out Robert's stuff. He should be an NFL insider, man, because he's getting information before Adam Schefter
Get it from
does. He's the best. Check out Robert's show. I think he's on every night now, so check him out.
Alan says Joe Burrow is his number one.
Listen, I put him in the top 3, and I would not put him number 1. It's possible. I ranked him number 1 last week in my playoff quarterbacks, but if I'm talking about just overall, Mahomes is still number 1, I think.
Look, this kid's got moxie. He's got confidence. I mean, he gets knocked in the teeth, gets back up.
I love his game.
He kind of reminds me of, and I don't want to make Bills fans upset, but he kind of reminds me of Jim Kelly.
Yeah, that's a good. I think that's a decent comparison for sure. And you know what? Listen, to me, 1, 2, and 3. You can rank him in any order. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm really not.
It's always up to the defense to make sure that the offense be able to get back to the field.
We only got 5 minutes left here. I know Alan's going to have some comments here. Well, we talked about this game already, so I guess we aren't going to have to talk about it too much. He never lost to Mahomes. Good call there. Cowboys at the 49ers, 6:30 on Fox.
Oof.
I don't know if this is the game of the weekend, but because these are all good matchups, I think, this weekend. It's a really good divisional series. I like the 49ers because they're at home.
Yeah.
The only way I see them losing is if Dallas can really shake Brock Purdy. If they can shake Brock Purdy, then they'll have a chance to upset this team.
Who's listed as the backup for San Francisco?
Say that again?
Who's listed for the backup of San Francisco? Who's the backup? QB?
I want to say
Garoppolo?
Alan will probably no, because I don't think he's active. He's not ready to play yet. Oops, I went to the wrong. I'm looking for their depth chart here. Hold on. Alan's probably posted it before I even get it up there. Josh Johnson.
There you go.
If Purdy gets hurt, game's over. Most likely. Although the 49er defense is really, really good.
I don't know if you ever heard me say this, and I don't know if you remember me saying this, but because McCaffrey's always injured, I say he could be a quarterback because he can throw the rock. He did it in high school. And if I'm the 49ers and I need somebody to win this game, I'm gonna give it to McCaffrey and I'm gonna let him throw the rock.
Yeah, maybe you may see. Look, they may have a play like that to pull out here, but they probably want to save it.
No. I'm not talking about one play. I'm talking about you're gonna let.
Oh, play quarterback?
Yeah, you're gonna let Josh decide.
Well, you're better off running a Wildcat or something than playing Josh Johnson. You're not wrong there. Yeah,
Now who? And this to me would be the game of the century if it's Josh Johnson versus your Mr. What's his name? Cooper Rush. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I was just looking. I know we got to end the show here quickly. I don't seem to have an invite to the Mac and Jack show. I don't know. I mean, I'm person non grata. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, Alan's prediction, 28-24. Here's my prediction for this game, and I'll give it to you, and I'm going to be very specific. I think the 49ers win this game. I think I'm going to flip this score, and I may make it 30-24 49ers, and I will tell you that some bad game management by Dak Prescott in the fourth quarter cost the Cowboys this game.
I think it's going to be 32-24.
32. That's a hard number to get to. No, you never know these days. Guys could be. By the way, who's kicking for the Cowboys this week? Alan, you?
They gave me a rank. They called me up to kick for them, and I was like, man, I can't make it on Sunday. I got to go to church.
They called everybody. Their phone bill this week has got to be awful because they called like 340 million people trying to get a kicker this week.
Jerry Jones even invited me to dinner, and I was like, man, I can't make it.
Alan, you better hope this game doesn't come down to a field goal. I don't care if it's 21 yards. This kid's not going to make it. No.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something. If it's Cooper Rush versus Josh Johnson, we're gonna have a game.
I hear people changing the channel rapidly. So anyway, that's about all we got time for. I did want to get to some coaching stuff. We'll have lots of time to talk about that. A lot of news, especially on the coordinator front. We talked about the head coaches, but there's a lot of coordinator news to talk about.
9 teams are looking for coordinators.
Yeah, we'll get into that next week, hopefully, or in the coming weeks, just so that we can cover that. I really want to get into that. I think it's
my heart.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck. Go for 2 every time. Did
he not tie his shoelaces? What happened, man?
2. That poor guy. I mean, I feel bad for him. I really do. I feel I hate to make fun of the poor guy. Just a bad night.
Yeah, no, yeah, he had a bad night.
By the way, Alan, I got to tell you something. I get it. People have bad nights. You don't miss 4 extra points without it carrying over in your mind for a long while.
Well, what do you think Dak's thinking in the back of his mind? Like, man, this is no matter what we do.
And we got to go in a second. We'll go a couple minutes over here, but there was a picture of Dak throwing his helmet after he missed one, and the caption was, "I don't remember Mahar." Is that how you say his name, or Mayer?
Mayer, yeah.
Mayer throwing his helmet whenever Dak threw an interception this year. It's a cost the team a game.
No.
So anyway, it's pretty funny. Anyway, really good stuff today, Carlos. Thanks for coming in. We're gonna have some great games this weekend, guys. Get ready. The games, the championship games, and maybe some coaching games we'll get into, but I can quiet Carlos down pretty quick. Have a good weekend, guys. We'll see you next week. Tango, TGI Sports Talk. Are you serious? Right here on Northeast Streaming Sports. Have a great weekend.